We are starting 2025. For anyone that's new, this is a mix of Ithaca College and uh, Syracuse University current students and alumni. And uh, every week we have a different guest speaker, and usually they are alumni or current students of the programs. And this time we have Desiree and Philip, who were here year and a half-ish ago to talk about creating a film festival. And now it is in year two film festival, and it's coming to Ithaca really soon. So we want to hear all about what's new and uh, get us to go. How do we get tickets? Where do we go? All that kind of fun stuff. So, Desiree, Philip, please introduce yourselves.
Um, I'm Desiree, and usually Phil and I do this call next to each other, because we're roommates. But Phil is in the office right now. Yeah, we started ITHEX in 2023, and as Shayna said, it'll be our second year this year. Um, we both went to IC for film. Yeah, I think that's general gist of me and the film festival a little bit.
Yeah, we're really excited to be here. Thank you for having us, Shayna. I'm Phil.
Cool. Well, you guys can do your thing. But I don't know if you want to talk about what you do during the day and then
Mhm.
uh, how you decide to work on this in your spare time. And then, yeah, things that have changed. Tell us about the festival. Inspire us to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's definitely we've been both of us have been very busy, and then there's another person, his name is Aiden Cronin, that also helps with the festival, and then another person has helped us this year. His name is Ben Basom, also went to Ithaca, and he lives in Ithaca currently. So the four of us have been pretty busy doing a lot. We all have jobs during the day, so it is a bit complicated of managing our time to make sure that we also have time for the festival. Um, I would say this year it's been really busy for all of us, like with our jobs on top of this. The festival is a little bit bigger this year as well. I guess to go back like a step too, like the film festival, we started it in Ithaca because we all went to college there and we thought the community would benefit from a more like experimental film festival that students could see and the community could also come out and see. Um,
Yeah, I felt I like just chiming off of that. When
yeah.
I was a student in Ithaca, I was shown a lot of movies, but they were all like for the most part, like they were like this one kind of movie, and it was like a bigger kind of like inaccessible type. It's like narrative mainstream movies that, require a lot of money and like lighting and, good cameras and all this stuff. And like a lot of movies just felt like impossible to make. And it wasn't until like after we both graduated from school and we went to like more experimental film festivals, we saw way more different kinds of movies and stuff that we felt like, oh, you can just make it. You can grab a camera and make something like this like tomorrow if you want. And that stuff it really inspired us. And so we just kind of felt like it would be amazing if like students that we went to, or students from Ithaca or students from upstate New York or yeah, IC students or whoever, got to see films that like they felt like, oh, I could make something really cool and I can make it tomorrow. And it's like, right, everything's at the palm of my hands. So something that really excited us that, and yeah, that's the reason why we made the festival.
Yeah. Um, Sort of, I guess, more of the logistical about the festival. It's 3 days. We did 3 days last year too. It's just like what has been feasible for us. I can't imagine doing a festival for a whole week. People must be exhausted from doing that. But yeah, last year we had 3 like main blocks. This year we have 4, so it's a little bit bigger. Just got a lot of really great submissions that Phil and Aiden programmed the festival, and they wanted to do another block, and it worked out. Um, the first night we try to do like a feature film, so that's what we're doing again this year. Um, I don't know, Phil, if you had something like specific to chime off of that or anything.
Yeah, because we this year we started accepting submissions. I'd want to say in like March or something,
It was
like
earlier this year.
like almost a year ago, maybe
Mhm.
April. So we had a lot of time to like get submissions. Like overall, I think last year we got like 276, 200, or it was 248 submissions. And then this year, because we had like twice the amount of time of submissions, we got like 566. Um, and I think also a part of that is because our submission fee was so cheap. Usually a lot of festivals charge like $30 for short films, $40. Some Sundance will charge like 80. Of course, we're not Sundance, but I don't know. We just wanted to charge like $5, so I think that's part of why we got so many submissions. But because of that, we just got a lot of stuff that we really were excited by. That we kind of felt like we needed 3 short film blocks, and even so, even though we had 3 short film blocks, there's still so many films that we got that we really loved that we had to cut. Which is always the hard part about or making a film festival, I guess. And cut not even meaning like it didn't make the cut. Sometimes it just films just don't fit. Making a film festival is like it's like making a Spotify playlist or maybe something. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's you got to find films that feel like they're the right vibe and they all fit together. I'm kind of going all over the place right now.
Oh
If
no,
you can't
I
tell.
mean, makes sense to me, but I'm involved in it. But yeah, I feel like I think something that I didn't really understand when I was submitting to festivals when I first started and like also doing this festival sort of helped me. Like it's not necessarily that a film festival like doesn't like the work that you're submitting, but a lot of festivals are trying to curate to a specific program, and that can be really dependent on the submissions that they're getting that year. Like for this year, we have a block called Love Letters. So, like, as you can imagine, like, sort of the theme going within that, like, we try to stick with the theme, but there are certain festivals that will just have like an experimental block, and like, those are their like experimental films, whatever that means for them, more abstract films typically. But yeah, I feel like a curational type of perspective is really interesting from the film festival world.
Yeah, I feel like I usually like the curational thing better, just because if you do get a block of just a bunch of random, like Desiree and I both make experimental films, but we both make films that are very different. Sometimes they'll put our films like back to back together in a film block, and it's like these films are very different. I feel like a lot of times that happens, so it's nice when the block is very curated and you feel like you went through a whole experience, or I don't know. Like it still feels unified in some way. And so we even did that like with deciding like what block we wanted to play at Cornell Cinema. That's another thing. This year we're also doing a short film block at Cornell Cinema. Last year we just did screenings at IC and then Cinemapolis. Just because, but now I feel like we want to kind of expand uh, just where we play the films and get the broader Ithaca community and hopefully soon the upstate New York film community together to kind of see all the films.
Yeah, sort of piggybacking off that. Thanks, Shayna. Shayna connected us with Molly at Cornell Cinema, which is really huge. So we're excited to be screening there. So yeah, sort of what Phil said, just trying to like make sure people from other parts of Ithaca are like able to see these films too, is really exciting, and not just like, sort of more geared towards like IC students, I feel like, just given the space that it was in, the area that it was in Ithaca. But yeah, hopefully this will help more people see some experimental films. And I think the festival has definitely grown a lot since last year. So, like I said, it's been a bit crazier, busier for all of us. But I mean, we're really excited to see like where this goes, you know, moving forward in the years to come. I feel like something that is helpful, sort of, Phil, you probably would agree, like Film Freeway is where we are doing all of this. Like we are our database of where these films are getting submitted is Film Freeway. I know there are festivals that do it just through like website and stuff like that. I'm honestly not sure how they do that. Film Freeway really sets it up really nice for us and makes it easy so you can like flag films, sort of. This is aside from a film festival perspective, whereas when you're submitting films, you're just seeing like the festival and all that stuff. But I don't know, Phil, if you could speak to like sort of what the world looks like in Film Freeway when you are
Yeah.
at a film festival rather than a submitter to
I,
films.
I think also, yeah, it's definitely cool to be on the other side just in terms of like if you are a filmmaker, you can kind of see what programmers are looking for a lot of the times when, when they're watching films, it's just like one big list. And then a programmer might watch a film and then they see there's no like biography about the filmmaker, there's no like synopsis. So sometimes they could watch a film and think it's amazing, but then they're like, I don't know what the filmmaker actually has to say about this film. And so sometimes that can kind of be challenging when you're just watching a ton of films at once because you just want to just learn more and more about why the filmmaker made certain choices or just learn anything else about the filmmaker. So it is it taught I think me as a filmmaker or just like put work into your Film Freeway page. I'm sure, I mean, everyone here is makes films or is at least affiliated with that stuff, and so they might submit stuff on Film Freeway. So just like also just advice, I feel like it's always good to make your Film Freeway page look good, get a poster or something, get some stills on there just so I think also just it shows that filmmakers like took the time to like present their film to programmers. Not that like programmers need to be pampered for or anything like that, but I just think it shows like, okay, this filmmaker is taking their film seriously. So I'm gonna really consider this film. I'm gonna take this recommend or this submission seriously. They paid $5 to send it to us, then I'm gonna, take that $5 seriously. So I definitely think it's nice to be on the other side of that whole landscape. And yeah, if anyone also has any questions, please feel free to ask any. We can kind of bounce around. But yeah, I don't know if anyone is curious about programming or anything like that, but Film Freeway is great to even like have you can invite jurors to come on. Like we have 3 festival jurors this year, who are all the winners of the Best in Show award last year at our festival. So they're able to just join and watch all the films. And yeah, it's a great platform. This is now a Film Freeway ad sponsored by Film Freeway.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that thank you guys for coming back. This is great. I got to attend one of the sessions last year, and one thing that struck me, I mean, I love experimental film, but just sitting there watching it and after hearing, your experience putting it together, it seems like a crazy challenge to pull together like a theme. So how did you like approach that now that you have kind of double the submissions? Did you do like an initial kind of like rapid watch through and then like kind of free associate themes out of that, or how did that process work? Like and did anything change from last year given the kind of lessons you learned and your experience into how you approached the curation, the program?
Yeah. I definitely think because whenever we got submissions, we would kind of just watch them. Sometimes we wouldn't watch stuff for 2 weeks, and then you're like, okay, we got 2 weeks worth of movies to watch. We got to spend this weekend just like watching, a little bit here and there. So you kind of just have to stay on it. Um, but Film Freeway also just has like a way for programmers to take notes. So we would kind of like if we really liked a film, or even if we were like iffy on a film, we would like comment on the film first of all, but then we would also like write down like themes that the film has or like vibes that the film has. So then when we're looking at all the stuff that we have given like a thumbs up or stuff that we've given like a maybe, we're like, okay, these are the vibes that are kind of reoccurring. And so I feel like one of the biggest things that like, or one of the biggest reoccurring, I guess themes. It's not really a theme, but is like people reflecting on like where they've come from, or people reflecting on like a certain space or certain location or something like that. It might just be like a political film or stuff about, even a personal film about someone's hometown or something like that. That's something we got a lot of. So we kind of saw a lot of films like that. We're like, okay, this could be a block and this could be something, we could kind of curate that feels cohesive. So then we kind of started to organize films based off of that. And then like the love letters things that Desiree mentioned already, it's like there's a lot of personal films that are just like people talking about someone, either someone they love or, even something that might connect to like a place they love, but something that feels very personal. Like it's most of the time it's just personal cinema. So then we kind of curated a block out based off of that. So it's kind of like just going little by little, and it is a lot when you get like over 500 films to kind of try to curate, but you can't slack off. Like you can't wait until the very end, just because then there's no way you can retain all the information and take all the notes you need to. It's like you kind of have to go little by little and kind of look at what everybody sent you. Um, and yeah, uh, but this year it both made it like last year we kind of had like two blocks about like a lot of films like reflecting on like American culture, and then we had like like a block that was like slower and very meditative, and it was even more personal, so it was kind of easier to make a yin and yang. But this year sometimes there's like, oh, is this film a love letter or is it like a film reflecting on how much they love a place? Sometimes it was kind of hard, but you still want the blocks to feel cohesive. I
Totally.
hope that answered your
No,
question. Yeah.
absolutely. Very well. How many features? Do you have a separate feature category, or how many features do you get submitted, or did you approach the feature? I mean, how did that work in selecting the feature?
Yeah, technically we don't accept features. Sometimes people submit features. And we have, rules that say like we have a max 20-minute rule. Excuse me. But sometimes people will submit them anyways. But we don't really look at those. It's more of like just doing cold asks of like finding films that like have either like played festival circuit, like have been around the festival circuit that we really like or have seen, or stuff we want to reach out to. And it's because we want to show something that yeah, I don't know. I guess we want to show something that I feel like people would be really excited for. And last year we had a film, Hello Dankness, by these Australian filmmakers, Soda Jerk, who like make all these cool music videos. And this was a film that was like really hyped over like in the fest circuit a couple years ago. So that was something we were really excited by. And then this new feature we have is Your Final Meditation, which is it's like an experimental feature by this guy Corey Hughes, who lives in Baltimore. And I've screened with him a couple times, and that film just really excites me in terms of like a new way to make a feature film. Like I've never really seen a feature like it before. And so that's done like fests, and it's just something that I was super excited by. And also if anyone has seen my first film, the Zia Anger film that it was shot in Ithaca, he helped work on that film, and he made the behind the scenes documentary on that film. So he kind of has a little bit of that Ithaca connection. But it's just something that we felt like it would be a perfect fit, and also something that students might like too, hopefully.
That makes sense. Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, I feel like Phil touched on it a little bit, but like something that is in our rules, like for our festival specifically, is like 20 minutes max. So we're not going to take a film over 20 minutes. Which is something to be said about like submitting a short film, submitting to a short block. Uh Sometimes it can be tough to make a long film because the programmers are trying to put that into a program. And typically, I feel like most programs are not over 2 hours. Like, usually it's going to be shorter than 2 hours. So if you have a 30-minute film, like that 30-minute film has to be good, whatever good means to like that programmer or that section of how it's relating to the curation of the blocks, I think is really important. And interesting. I didn't fully know that really either when I was going to school. So yeah, if you do have like a shorter film that's like 2 minutes long, maybe there's a better chance of that getting into a festival just because there's space for it potentially, rather than like a 30-minute one. Or, the 30-minute one could work. It could work with the program, and the programmers could like it and feel like, you know what, maybe I want to shape the program off of this 30-minute film. So it does depend. Yeah.
It is like a really weird game, like with
Mhm.
like doing film festivals. Of course, that's not the only way to release a film, but it is like a weird thing you have to do sometimes. My personal opinion is that your film should be however long you think it should be or it needs to be. Like if if you have a really amazing 20-minute film and don't try to cut it down to 15 minutes and it might not be as good. Like I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend you just have your really awesome 20-minute film. But that also might mean that it's harder to play festivals. It's like this weird, I guess, is that a catch 22? I don't know if that's what is
Well,
um
it's
but you
certainly
know
an
what I mean?
incentive for students to make efficient films, like I mean, and I try to encourage, since I teach animation, when they have a tight film that's 2 minutes long, it's like this is something that's easy to program so it can get a lot of play. But you're right, taking a film and arbitrarily cutting it down with that, goal in mind isn't necessarily a good approach to filmmaking. But there's no denying the reality of your job of having to program a bunch of disparate length short stuff together. Can be easier to program short work.
Right. Like, and also, like, if you have like a 5-minute film, you could possibly play at a ton of festivals, but it doesn't necessarily mean that your film is like a masterpiece compared to like a 30-minute short film that might be really great that hasn't gotten into any film festivals just because that's the weird game that film festivals have. I don't know, something to always take into account, but definitely, certainly, yes, for us, if it's like 7 to 12 minutes is kind of like a good range that we've kind of found. Like, if it's that length, then it's definitely easy to slot in, of course. And if it's even shorter, it's like just throw it in, you know. Of course, it's more than that. It's not, but
Yeah.
but it's not hurting anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Sort of off of that, you just made me think about it. Like every most every film festival has a certain mm, I hate using the word vibe, but they have a certain vibe to them. Like they know what they like. Like typically, if they're really trying to curate what that festival is. And I feel like with our festival, like I don't do the programming, but Philip and Aiden have a certain a certain thing that they like about films, and they will like talk about it with each other. I feel like this festival tends to like a lot of like personal storytelling. So that is helpful when you are submitting to festivals of looking at like past archives that festivals might have. Because then you're like, oh, like I've done that a lot with films that I've made, and I've been like, maybe I'll submit here, and then I look at their archives and I'm like, I don't think I don't think they would like my film, just from a, maybe production value perspective, or maybe they like a more abstract film, or maybe they don't want something that is super experimental and they like a more like commercial look. I think it's really important to look at what the festival is going for. I think that helps a lot and will save you a lot of money with submissions as well.
Yeah, that's really smart. Also, just like because I mean, we are an experimental film festival, but like what that means to us might mean something different to other experimental film festivals. Like, I feel like a lot of experimental film festivals have the approach of like they just want formal experimentation, in terms of like, I guess like okay, I guess something that me and Aiden always look for is like films can be experimental, but they also can still carry like deep emotion. And I think that's something that we just appreciate. It's something that we like about films, that they can take you through an emotional journey. And so that's ultimately ends up being something that we end up looking for a lot of the time. And that's, I guess, just a personal thing. Um, but so someone could submit a film that is maybe not emotional and it's just super, they're scratching on the film. Like it could be really cool, but it might just not connect with us and it might not connect with the themes that we usually like to go for with the festival.
Yeah. No, definitely. I noticed that in the programming too. Like often experimental programs will be, like you said, very formal, right? Where it's about process. And I really like that about the program I saw. It's just how personal the work was. Very cool. Yeah, those are
It's
great.
it's oh sorry.
I was
It's
just
just like
go ahead.
it just to piggyback off of what you said, it's like it makes it more accessible. I feel like sometimes experimental film to a lot of people is like, I don't know, experimental, like I don't know what that is. It kind of scares them. But I hope that the films that we play, like anyone can kind of get into them. Anyone can connect to like a personal story. And at the end they might walk out and be like, I actually like experimental film. Maybe I could make an experimental film.
Totally, like human experimental film. It's cool.
Yeah.
But that's right. To amplify your point about researching, like Film Freeway can be a really overwhelming experience when you're going to find, especially niche, like small festivals, and as a student where you're looking for cheap submissions and stuff like that. Actually doing your homework and going to the festival page and looking at past schedules and researching about what those films are, right? It gives you a good idea as to whether or not it's a good fit and worth spending the time and money. It's a great point.
Yeah, I feel like something too that is helpful is looking at your peers and seeing what festivals maybe they've gone into, and if you feel like you have a similar I don't want to say vibe again, but you have a similar emotion to that film, like your film is similar to that. I think that's something that's really helpful too, and something that I've done in the past with my films. I think my film sort of ranges similar to that person. So let me see what past festivals they've gone into or submitted to. And I think it's helpful.
Because, yeah, like just to kind of, I guess the thesis of this section of the conversation we're having is that festivals, like, it's not some dark, a lot of them are not some dark entity. Like, maybe, or dark, not the best word, but like Sundance Film Festival might be this whole entity that's like this whole kind of like I'm cementing it into the void. But most film festivals are like it's people that are programming them. Like it's people. So it's like you have to find okay, what people's specific tastes align with my film. You know what I mean? So like you look at the programmers and yeah, it's you're submitting it to human beings. It's not just like some festival. That's kind of it makes it feel like it makes it so much scarier when you think about it that way
Mhm.
versus like, oh no, I'm just submitting it to this person that I feel like they might like my movie. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's true. Um, I guess, Phil, I don't know if you have anything else to say about that, but maybe it would be good to show like our website, like how we have an archives page if people wanted to see that.
Yeah. Let me
I have it up if you want me to pull it up.
Oh yeah, yeah. Do you mind? Thanks, Des.
My desktop is crazy because I'm I do a lot of the design like for the festival, so I have like a bunch of just different sizes of like the exports from the artists that like make the posters and stuff, putting our um it's got experimental on it. So yeah, if you see that on my desktop, it's a little crazy. um we we've done this thing. I mean, it's only our second year, but we've tried to bring on different artists, like doing the posters and stuff. It's been something that's really cool. We did someone different last year. And this year it's a guy that I don't know how to say we met him, but like it's someone we met in Brooklyn, and he's a really great artist. So this is his artwork that you're seeing on the front page here. So with our festival, I feel like in all festivals, you want to look at the program and you want to look at the archives if we're talking about what we were specifically talking about. So like we only have 1 year, so when I go, you'll see we listed every film that played and every section in all 3 blocks, and you can sort of see by the stills that maybe there's a certain feeling that the programmers are going for. And reading the description of it too, I feel like is helpful as well. We also have like linked these to the filmmakers' websites. Again, it's probably it is a lot of research to like really look this in depth with it, but I think it is something that is helpful. And also meeting people really makes a big difference. Like if you come to the festival and or any festival and you meet the programmers, you meet the people behind it, then there's also a face to the name, which is helpful. Like, will make your film get in? I don't know necessarily, but I think it is what Philip was saying in terms of like these are human beings behind this, and like, that's what it is at the end of the day.
I think that's my experience with so much film stuff. It's like
Mhm.
once you actually meet the people, like meet once you meet someone face to face, like they remember you, you remember them, and that connection is forged and probably will help you.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, this is just the archives of 2023. Just scrolling fast because touching on each film would take a long time, but you can see our website and see like what we do. Festivals do similar things. They'll usually have an archive. Maybe they won't list out each film and they might just list out the winners, which is tough, and then I will go like on their Instagram and stuff and try to see what they've done that way. And then this is our program for this year. As Phil said, our jurors this year are people that won Best in Show last year. We're hoping to have that be like a tradition that we keep going with. But it's nice because Mitch is a professor at IC, so it's great. Mitch will be there. And then Sophia Theodore Pierce is a professor at Binghamton. So it's nice that we've been able to like form a little bit of a community with the jurors there. And yeah, I mean, this is our opening night feature. We're also doing a short before the feature, which we did not do last year, um, but felt like it was a good fit. I don't know if you want to speak on that a little bit at all, Phil. I know we sort of spoke about.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many films we got. So it was just like anytime we had an opportunity to slot in another film, it's like why not? And even that is just still so many great films that we couldn't end up screening. But yeah,
Mhm. This year, a little bit different, just for time's sake. It's laid out a little bit different, like for the person who is doing our website. Um, we have all the films listed, but not the description this year, and it's rather like 3 stills of some of the films that are playing in that block. But a lot of these are linked with the filmmakers' websites, which is helpful.
and you still get a sense of like what the block is gonna kind
Mhm.
of feel like and look like.
With the stills, yeah, I think the stills are helpful. Like, okay, maybe this is what they're going for. This is our third block.
Yeah, and what you said earlier, I think Phil about, or I forgot who said it, but about using your peers to like seeing what your peers are doing, like also like seeing what films have played and something like has an affinity to your filmmaking, and you see it, you can go to its webpage, you can see what festivals it's played in. Yeah, homework and research is it's invaluable.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. Um, yeah, so this is our website. I don't know if
Love it.
Phil, if you think I should look at anything else, but I feel like that's mostly it.
Yeah, that's mostly it. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, tickets. I don't know if anyone is interested in coming, but
yeah, they're
our
here.
tickets are linked here. We have a screening on Friday, February 28th at IC, the Park School. Then two screenings on Saturday at Cinemapolis. It's two short film blocks. And then on Sunday afternoon, we have our last screening at Cornell Cinema. But hopefully we set it up super easy for people to just be able to buy tickets.
Yeah, and the IC screening is free, so it's just like you RSVP basically in that, and then Cinemapolis through their website and Cornell Cinemas tickets through their website. Students, it's $5. General
And,
public, 10.
And Saturday's Chili Fest. You can go to Chili Fest, get your chili
Yes.
going, and then go see films. You can do that in between blocks or before both blocks, whatever you want.
Is the Park School at Friday night screening open to non-park folks?
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
open to everyone.
Just checking.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Good.
Oh yeah.
So everyone can come. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's right.
I don't know if we mentioned, I don't know if we did, but the person who made the feature will be in attendance, like doing a Q&A, and so will the person who did the short block, and then a few of the filmmakers will be there for Saturday and Sunday as well, which I feel like is a really nice thing. Like, I mean, that's why we watch films, right? Like to connect with the films and then the filmmakers actually being there and discussing their films and being like, I really liked your film is honestly one of my favorite parts of a festival is like meeting the people and seeing great art.
And we actually have a filmmaker uh here apparently, according to the chat. Ezra Aiden their film is playing in block one, which is a Saturday at 2 p.m. at at Cinemapolis, sorry. So come support them. And that's just something else I am excited by, just by playing upstate New York student films and have students hopefully this is a student. I believe this is a student, yes. And have students feel like I don't know, they're in the mix and they can meet like filmmakers that are might be 10 years, 20 years older than them, and everyone's making cool films and everyone can meet each other. That kind of access is what film festivals are for. It's something that we're both super excited by.
Mhm. Um, there's also events that we have during the festival that is not just necessarily uh, film screenings, though the film screenings are great, but it's sometimes you need a space to connect with people. So Friday night, what we're doing is still TBD, but likely around the Commons, a bar somewhere there. But Saturday night, we are at Argos, and we're gonna have a gathering there. And then Sunday, we are at Liquid State, which we worked with them last year. Argos is a new addition, which we're really excited about in their warehouse. They have like a nice little warehouse with some couches and stuff. The Liquid State is where we do like our awards ceremony. Pretty casual, but like that's where we announce the three best in show. And it's nice. We use their back room, which is really great. So we all just sit in there and hang out and talk.
Yeah, does anyone else have any other questions or comments about
It's
the
great, great,
festival?
great venues. Uh, Argos and Liquid State.
Yeah, Liquid State. Yeah, I mean, Des touched on it, but yeah, they helped us out so much last year, and it's definitely good for our little award ceremony thing we got, and yeah, both close by too. I see in the Commons and everything, Cinemapolis.
Does Ezra want to talk about their project? Maybe.
Yeah, I didn't know we had a filmmaker in the chat.
As was a great student.
That's dope.
Well, maybe a little camera shy. That's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Secretly watching at work. Understood.
As
That's
most
fair.
people do. Well, do you want to talk about why you changed the dates? Because it used to be in the fall and now it's in the spring and
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
do you come up super early, or do you feel like since you now have boots on the ground here as a partner, you have everything covered and you can just come up the day of?
I feel like for dates, we kind of are still just playing around with what might work best to see for the festival. Last year we did it in October. It was actually unfortunately during fall break, which was like a big our Ithaca College fall break, which was kind of an oversight on our end. Uh, but it was also just because it's fall, because there's like, always all these parents' weekends, all these kind of stuff. It makes hotels super expensive. It makes it super expensive for people to visit. So we were like, oh, maybe we'll do one, in the like early spring, and maybe that might be better. Because I know later in the spring, there's like other stuff, other events happening in Ithaca that might drive up the price of hotels and stuff. So we're trying this weekend out, but I think we also just might still play around with it, see how this one goes, and figure out which weekend is best for the future of this festival.
Yeah, I feel like it was expensive in October, like Phil was saying. Also, like sort of what I was touching on, like we are all so busy. And Aiden, who's not on this call, made his first feature film. So the timeline of that with the festival just like didn't work as well. So we were like, you know what, these dates are more expensive anyway, and like we shifted the schedule because of that as well. But yeah, like Philip's saying, just we're seeing what dates work, and fall break obviously happening on that weekend for IC was just not
That was tough.
ideal. We still got a great crowd, which was incredible. But yeah, a lot of students missed out because they were home. So that was another reason. I think too, like last year we came up on Thursday and the festival starts on Friday. It's just tough because we're all working. Like, I think maybe in a dream world we would like stay up for a week or something, and like talk to our partners and sponsors and go to their places and see what those are looking like, so they could actually meet us in person before the festival happens too. But it is nice because Ben is located in Ithaca, so he helps a lot with like hanging up the posters all around town beforehand and in the school and going to these places and giving them stuff that they may need from us.
Making DCP files,
Yeah,
files for the theaters and all that stuff.
yeah. It's a lot of back stuff that is really important. So Ben has been a huge help with that. And yeah, this we're coming up on Friday. Again, just like work schedules. Like it's just tough. We come up Friday and leave Monday usually.
Maybe do you want to talk about that? What are people delivering to you that
Mhm.
sounds like you're making the DCPs, not expecting people submitting to do it?
Yeah, we don't expect them to submit it. Phil, you could
Yeah,
a little. Yeah.
it's definitely in my experience whenever like I remember I made like my senior thesis, I like was submitting that to festivals, and then I got into one and they were like make a DCP, and I didn't know what a DCP was. I didn't know how to do it. And so if anyone runs into it's better for everyone if we just make the file, because my DCP in that experience ended up not working, and it was a whole thing, and the festival had to make one overnight. Anyways, it's better if we just make it and we're able to just test it all on our end beforehand. So people usually just send us, their name. They send us kind of their address in case we want us to, in case we're gonna send them anything like T-shirts or anything like that. And they send like film stills so we can use them for all our promotional stuff, social media stuff. A film synopsis, and then yeah, just a file. Um, and we're not super, you know, if this was a festival where every film was like shot on like a red or something like that, maybe we were like, oh, we want 4K files. But I think this festival, it's okay if we usually take like 1080p files, stereo, and they play great. Yeah, we kind of just ask for the basic stuff. We set up, we do like a Google poll, and we have give people a timeline sometimes, or like a deadline to submit that stuff. And of course, you got to send all the reminder emails, because filmmakers, even though filmmakers work hard, filmmakers also a lot of the time they're very scatterbrained, as am I. So I understand that. So you got to send a reminder email. Hey, you guys got to submit the form. People submit the form. They want their stuff to play. It just, you gotta remind people sometimes. And then we also had people submit like an intro video, like just like if they wanted to like talk to the camera and kind of introduce their film. And we don't play that at the theater, but we'll put it on like social media on our Instagram page to kind of just keep stuff. Like we're able to just post more stuff on Instagram, and like audiences can kind of meet the filmmakers before they watch the films. That's something nice that if people are able to do, they'll send it over. Trying to think, I think that's everything that we ask for.
Yeah, I feel like the Google form is helpful. Like, there's just so much coordination that goes into a festival, so many moving parts, and yeah, it's just a lot, you know. I can't imagine doing this by myself. So it's helpful because we all sort of work in different sectors of the festival and then it all comes together. Or we'll be like, can someone answer this email? We're answering a lot of emails every day, like so many people following up and talking to people. So yeah, I feel like a big part is like it's really heavy coordinating things with so many different people.
Yeah, the bigger the festival, it's harder to the
Mhm.
bigger the festival, you need a bigger staff, basically, to
Yeah.
wrangle everybody together.
Are you at your limit?
It's
I
it's
don't
tough.
know.
I can't lie. Maybe Phil doesn't feel I'm like, yeah, I'm like a chicken with my head cut off. Like it's crazy. Like, but I'm reaching out. I'm like talking to a lot of people, like for our spaces and stuff like that. So just a few more. And then you guys are more talking to like the filmmakers about why their file isn't working or something.
Yeah, we might have it easier than you, honestly, so I
I don't
understand.
know.
But
We're
but
all so busy.
I guess also the hope though is like the more we do the festival, the more we've like even like this year we have it like, we already have relationships with like, Argos, and we have relationships with Liquid State. So it's like it's a little easier to, just hit them up again and reach
Mhm.
out to see if they need, if we could do anything at their venues. And then, next year we already have Cornell. So hopefully the more we could do the fest, we have relationships with more people in Ithaca that it makes organizing stuff a little bit easier. So because I would still, I think in the future, maybe like to do either another film block or some kind of like retrospective screening, something like that. I feel like there's still a future for like other kinds of screenings we could do, maybe workshops or stuff like that. But for now, I think we're at our limit for now. I think we reached our limit for this year, and then next year we'll see how things are. And yeah, still early, so we can still kind of play with how this whole fest will run, which
Yeah.
is super exciting.
That is true. It just made me think like it is our second year doing this, which gives you more credibility than it being your first year. And people do recognize that and they're like, okay, they're not like joking around or whatever. I don't know what they think. But yeah, it gives you a bit more credibility, which is helpful. And also places that I've reached out to now, I'm like, well, we've done events with Liquid State and they're like, great, you know, they're legit, uh, which has been really helpful too. So more years to come, I think overall that's helpful.
Yeah,
It
just
would be funny if we put on a fest as a joke. Sorry, you were
Yeah.
gonna say something actual seriously, Brad. I cut you off.
no, I was just gonna say that it is an amazing amount of labor, and kudos to you guys for doing this basically in your spare time, like you have any, right? But I know that the Finger Lakes Environmental Film Festival has either like a half credit or a one
Mhm.
credit course that students work on the film festival. So it might be an idea of approaching faculty in cinema. I know we have an experimental hire going on right now, a tenure track hire. So it might be maybe something in that new hires like wheelhouse or something. But I would consider that and maybe float that idea. And like you said, you have this kind of multi-year legitimacy now. I think you could get buy-in from faculty at IC, and that would start as an experimental course, so it's pretty quick to get that
Yeah.
enacted. So just a thought.
Yeah, no, that's a great thought. And I think also too, I did like the FLEF fellowship thing. And it was great. It was really cool. I feel like it also looks good on your resume, you know? So it's not only fun, but also it's a good way for people to get involved in film festivals, students and stuff that you wouldn't otherwise have the access to potentially. So yeah, I agree. It's very cool.
Yeah, and happy to help. I mean, I know you have contacts within cinema, obviously, but yeah, I'd certainly be
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be dope. Thank you.
Bring a day up to Syracuse.
Yeah, like you know how Sundance has like there's like Sundance like Chicago and there's Sundance like Sydney, Australia. We'll do like an Ithaca
Syracuse.
Experimental
Well,
Syracuse.
there's Park City and Salt Lake, so at the
Right.
same time, and that's an hour to get.
It's the same thing. Yeah, maybe that would be honestly, that would be really dope.
Action
That would be
ideas for next year, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's any other questions, but as we're wrapping up, so you've kind of mentioned and hinted there will be a year 3. So when do you think submissions would open for that? I know you have
probably like late summer, something like that. I definitely by then. We don't know yet, but probably like I'm gonna guess that by August or something like that, submissions will either have been open or will be open by
Yeah.
August.
Give you an 8 and a few months break.
Yeah.
How much
Yeah.
film?
And do you
Funny-
have any kind of limit on submissions when they were made?
No.
I don't like that stuff. Or at least like if you're a bigger festival, it makes sense like with like oh you want the world premiere stuff,
From
but
your status.
like most of the time, at least when I go to see films like short film screenings, like if even if it came out in 2021, like I haven't heard of it, like oh I'll
Mm.
still see it. It's new to me, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. Like even last year we played a film from like I want to say it was like from the mid 90s, like 94 something. And it was like I don't know, like so many people have never seen it before. So like it was new to them. It was super cool and like yeah, you could send us an old film, send us anything, guys. Feel free.
And when do you think the submission window would close if it was opening in late summer?
Yeah, I guess we're still gonna figure out like the timing of like when the festival will be because I think we don't know. Maybe we'll do another spot in the spring. We definitely won't do summer, but like maybe we go back to like earlier in the fall. Maybe we'll do a whole year of submissions. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see how this year goes, and then we'll kind of adjust from there. I think
I feel like if it was the same dates as this year, it would be open in the summer and then close
like
December,
December.
January. Yeah, something like that. Like it's pretty a month or two away from whatever the festival date is, the notification dates. Yeah.
We're floating as of now. We're a floating film fest. We'll
Mhm.
see. We're in. I don't even know what the word is. We're
You
we
have
figuring
contact.
it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
See what
nimble.
the best dates are.
Yeah.
Ithaca X Flex,
Yeah.
Finger Lakes, whatever.
Work on it.
Um, anyone have any questions before we end? Cool. Okay. Well, thank you, Belle and Desiree. I'm sure there's some people who want to say hi to you
Yeah,
if you
what's up, Mike?
hang out. Um, so thanks again, and I hope a lot of people go. And I put all the links in the chat, so if you want to look at tickets and the programming, please do.
Thanks, Sarah. I hope it was great, or I hope it was okay. Thank you. Thank you, Allie.